Hi there, I'm Dale Logan, independent equine nutritionist. I've had a number of queries about horses and energy, particularly at this time of year where it's spring and we get some unwanted behavior. And I wanted to break that down and clarify what it's all about and why this happens in a horse. So, in terms of energy, a horse gains over 70% of its energy through the fermentation of carbohydrates through its hind gut. So lots of other information on the horse's long gut and what happens at each point. But if we focus on that hind gut, you have this whole system of microbes in there, billions upon billions of them. And they ferment down carbohydrates that are in its feed. So feed comes from our pasture, our hay, never forget your hay, your chaffs, and all the other feeds that we give to a horse. So again, those hindgut microbes are this whole population, and they ferment structural carbohydrates. So if I break down structural carbohydrates and non-structural carbohydrates, you've probably heard that term bandied around, you see it written a lot. Let's clarify what that actually is. So the way I think about it is structural carbohydrates are the hard structures. If you think about a house in terms of the ceiling, the walls, the floor, they're really hard. So think about grass and the hard fiber structures in a grass that your horse is eating, be that fresh pasture or chopped up hay or hay itself or chaff. So structural carbohydrates are hard fiber, and that's what the hindgut microbes ferment, and the byproducts make energy that the horse uses to fuel its body for everything, including growth and cells and hoof care and hoof growth and energy for exercise and muscles and everything, and keeping itself warm. So non-structural carbohydrates, I think about them as being the pink bats in the ceilings and the walls, because they're pink and they're fluffy, and really that's your sugars and your starches. Okay, so that's the easier to break down parts of your plants, let's say in your grasses. And so majority of that sugar and starch are actually broken down by enzymes in the beginning of the whole long gut system of a horse. Majority of them. There are a few that might make it to the hind gut, but only a few. They're meant to be broken down by enzymes in the foregut, the stomach of the horse. Not many of them are meant to flow through to the hindgut. So this is where we get the problems. So remember, our structural carbohydrates are the hard fiber walls and ceilings and floors of a house, of i.e. your grass. That's what the hindgut microbes like to ferment and make into energy to fuel your horse's body. When you give a horse too much non-structural carbohydrates, sugar and starch, the foregut literally can't handle it, and they flow through, they overflow really, into the hindgut. And what happens is a cascade of events where your good hindgut microbes get overrun, overtaken. They're not supposed to be, the majority of them, fermenting non-structural carbohydrates, your sugar and your starch. So your lactic acid bacteria in the hindgut take over in numbers, the acid levels rise, so the whole environment becomes too acidic for the good hindgut microbes, and then you get lots and lots of different things can happen. One of the first things you see is unwanted behavior, because a horse has this unique gut system and a unique vagus nerve that goes from the gut to the brain, informing it that things are acidic and unhappy in the hindgut, and then the result is unwanted behavior. And you see, obviously behavior is hugely multifaceted. I'm only talking about the nutrition aspect, and you can get multiple of these things happening. But in terms of nutrition, you give too much starch and sugar too quickly, at once, it overflows into the hindgut, things become really acidic, the good microbes die off, the bad microbes increase in numbers, it informs the brain I'm really unhappy, you get unwanted behaviour. In terms of health issues, you can get hindgut dysbiosis, you can get all sorts of health issues like laminitis, diarrhea, colic, you name it, that starts to happen. So just to take that back again, you have structural carbohydrates meant to be fermented by the hindgut microbes. They fuel the body with their byproducts of in terms of energy. Non-structural carbohydrates, they are meant to be broken down in the foregut, in the stomach, by enzymes. And when you get too much starch and sugars flowing through to the hindgut becomes a really unhappy place that can't handle that. And that's when you get your unwanted behaviours happening and potentially a cascade of health issues. So what do? You feed lots of structural carbohydrates, and a lot of them need to be low sugar and starch. So you want to feed fibers like timothy's, lucerne, brown top, you know, all these types of chaffs and hays and pastures are low non-structural carbohydrates. So lots of structural hard parts that the hindgut microbes like. Beet pulps, soybean hulls, lupin hulls, all these types of things are really great for the hindgut microbes. You want to keep your high sugar and starch meals to, if you need to feed them, to a low amount, and spread them out throughout the day. Don't feed a huge amount just once a day. You need to feed small amounts of them and spread out throughout the day. So your grains, come to the forefront. They provide a lot of sugar and starch, and you want to provide the right amount for what your horse is doing, and in small amounts spread throughout the day so it doesn't overflow and upset that hindgut. So I hope that helps, and we will talk soon.